What's up, friends, and welcome into Leading Off. I am Chris Welsh. That is the Joe Arico, and thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with us today, where we're talking about the latest in baseball, getting you prepped as always. We've got some bets, we got some home run calls, and we're going to answer some of your questions if you guys have them. So you can load them up in the live chat today, which, just a reminder, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, you guys can hang out with us live on YouTube, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're not on the YouTube right now and you're listening on the podcast, you can do it, and we'll answer some of your questions because we love to do it as we get everybody prepped. And reminder, this episode is brought to you by bet365, where you can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets just by using the promo code Leading Off. That's right, promo code Leading Off to bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets today. Just because it's August, near the end of baseball, does not mean it's not time to get in on the bets, whether it's no-run first innings, money lines, run lines, prop bets. It's all fun, and baseball has got tons of it for you. Use that promo code Leading Off. Gambling problem, though, you can call 1-800-BETS-OFF or 1-800-GAMBLER. Mr. Joe Arico, what's up, buddy? It's the Joe Arico show lately. Bubba had a thing, so he couldn't get in today. So Joe pinch hitting, if you will, and just a bunch of Welsh and Arico lately.
All over the place, man. It's always great when we get to do a show. I'm doing well. I was at the Blue Jay game last night. Got to see a big W. Got to see a couple of George Springer home runs. Luke Maile, a couple of shutout innings pitched. So fun night. Definitely fun to be back on with you today, though.
Oh, so the game. So what do you do when you go to the game? Do you just like get me in? I'll go third deck, sit wherever, or what do you do?
Yeah. So me and my buddies, we go maybe 4 or 5 times a year, and we just go right up to the bleeds, right up to the highest deck possible. Get a few beers into us. Last night it was like every Tuesday in Toronto is Looney Dog. They sell hot dogs for $1. Yeah, Looney is
What's
what they call.
Looney? Oh,
Looney
like
is the Canadian dollar coin here for everybody in the chat who's going to be confused. There might be
you have dollar coins.
Yeah, we had bills up until the early 2000s for ones and twos, and then we switched those to what they call loonies and toonies, which I know just so Canadian.
I mean, all right. I mean, yeah, a literal cartoon. A literal cartoon.
We are a cartoon. Colored money. It's pretty funny stuff. But yeah, it was a $1 hot dog night at the park. You get a couple drinks into you. It's so easy to get down there too. We're all pretty close to the Rogers Center downtown Toronto. So always a lot of fun, especially for a big Blue Jay win. But a catcher throwing 2 shutout innings. Luke Maile was dominant. It was funny to watch.
That's great about the catcher. Hold on. Let's backtrack. A loony is $1. What's a toonie?
A toonie.
No, what is a toonie? Like
$2.
It's $2. Oh, it's all right. So are there loonies, toonies? Are there boonies, woonies, goonies?
No, we might as well just carry out the bit. But no, they're just loonies and toonies. That's it. Up
you just have dollars and $2.
The bills start at $5. The bills start at $5s here. When I was growing up, there was $1 and $2 bills, but when I was maybe, I don't know, 10 years old or so, they kind of phased them out.
So wait, a loony is a $5 bill.
No. Well,
who's on first? No, I've never been to Canada, Mike. It is well known that I'm not traveled here. I've been nowhere. I would like to go to Canada, but I've not. But I know I've heard loony. I've never heard toonie, and I didn't know those were your two systems. But then you just said you guys use 5s. This is mind blowing. Thank you. What's up, Bloomfield?
So loonies are the $1 coin, and they got the loon on them. So that's why they call them loonies. Get some Canadians in the chat here help me out. So loonies are the $1 coins, toonies are the $2 coins, and then the other coins are the same. Dimes, nickels, quarters, all that. We phased out the penny actually a few years ago. No more pennies, but everything else is the same as you guys. Wow. And starting at 5, we get the $5 bills, 10s, 20s, 50s. Everything else is the same. Just the low denominations were a little bit strange about it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like leading off. Joe Pisapia, the loony, Welsh, the toonie. So there you go, the Welsh and Joe and Welsh, no matter what, loony and toonie. All right, we got a lot of stuff. Reminder, fill up the chat if you guys got questions. We'll answer them kind of midway through. I am trying to mark them right here, and we'll kind of get through it. So hat tip to Canada, by the way, and the Canadian Open. I want to start off with 2 performances on the opposite end of yesterday, and really the opposite end for the future. And there's some correlation to it as far as the trade market goes too. Number 1, Zach Neto. Homer, single, walk on Tuesday. Angels beat the Royals. He is knocking on the door of a 2020 season. And interesting note on Roto World, be the 15th 2020 season in Angels history. That was his 19th homer. So he is just about to get there. He's going to get there. I bring him up in comparison to the exact opposite in performance-wise. Luis Robert went 0 for 4, struck out twice. He has been atrocious. So he had a big game on Friday. Since then, gone 4 for 17. This was on Roto World. He's currently in 100, hitting 185 with a 26-0 K to walk ratio in his last 65 appearances this month. He's been atrocious. Hitting like 180 since the All-Star break. He's got like a 36% K percentage. I say both of these things in a league that I was just in, that the trade deadline passed. I had said this, not just, like lip service earlier in the offseason. I had Neto on some of my lists to draft. I took him free. I got him free in some keeper leagues, and I was getting offers in a keeper league, my Neto for Luis Robert. And I turned it down. I turned those down in keeper leagues, and I just yesterday released my my updated dynasty ranks, and you'll see on there a couple people had commented that I have Neto over Luis Robert. I'm very concerned with this version of Luis Robert. I'm open that it can change, and I'm open that we could see something different, but with the massive K rate overall, some of the bad hitting metrics, versus what we're seeing with Neto, who looks like a completely changed player. He's getting the ball in the air. He's striking it hard. He's doing everything better. And this is complementing and turning into a 2020 season. A, how high are you on Neto? And B, do you think Neto over Robert is a no-brainer for next year?
I'm pretty high on Neto. Like, he's been really, really impressive. In terms of Robert and Neto, I think we're going to disagree there a little bit. I think part of this with Robert is that he's just checked out. I think part of the whole White Sox at this point, they just don't care anymore. And they haven't been given a reason to care. I mean, the team is just so terrible. They're not really playing for anything. Even losses don't get them a better draft pick. I think everybody's just kind of in off-season mode over there. And based on Robert's numbers, I think that's what it is. He still hits the ball very hard. Like, his barrel rate's still almost 13%, 43 on the hard hit. Yeah, it's a tricky one for sure, because Neto has clearly been better, but I think going forward, I would rather have Robert. I think shortstop is a pretty deep position. Outfield, especially in those 5 outfielder leagues, are a lot more scarce. I think Robert is who I would go with, but it's not like a no-brainer crazy one. They are fairly close.
Wonky, by the way, we got celebrities in the chat today. We got the Wonky Penguin. We had Ryan Bloomfield. Wonky said, someone offered me Luis Robert for Jake McCarthy in our redraft league's deadline, at the redraft league's deadline. And Wonky went with McCarthy, and it wasn't a tough decision. So this is kind of
like redraft out on him.
I mean, for this year, yeah, I think like that's a part of the big problem. I'll give you this. Like, there are some metrics that are still in line. He's actually hitting the ball harder this year than he was last year. The barrel and the way he's getting the ball in the air, they're off, but they're not like alarming. He was 15% barrel percentage last year. It's like almost 13 this year. 16-degree launch angle last year, 13 this year. Hard hit numbers look good, but it's a 37% K percentage. And maybe you're right. Maybe that is the checked out nature of it. So I'm open for him to being able to bounce back. I'd also say this, these guys that put up big counting stats while struggling, 14 homers, 18 stolen bases, and under 300 at bats, even off of just extrapolating, that's almost a 30-40 season being just a garbage hitter. So like, that's why things may end up changing, where you do look at Neto and you go, well, he isn't actually hitting the ball harder. The quality of how he's hitting the ball and optimizing getting in the air, that looks better. I just don't know if I buy Robert having massive changes, because like 37 in a row, that's a big strikeout percentage. And he was about 29% last year. So I just feel like the tides are turning on Robert. And maybe this needs to be more about Neto's uptick than it has to be about destroying Robert. But I moved Robert down into like the 60s or 70s of my dynasty, and I had him in the top 25.
So let's say Robert gets traded to a neutral location in the offseason. Let's just call it a 500 type of team. Would that change how you feel about him?
Maybe a tiny bit. I think the most important thing is for him to stop striking out 37% of the time.
Yeah.
That's like the big key. Like, you're not going to be successful. I make excuses in the minor leagues for this guy named Spencer Jones, who I love. I think he's a freak of an athlete. He's like 6'6". He can run, towering homers. His average is stunk. He's around 240, and he's got like a 35% strikeout rate. Like, he's got to fix that. The major league, this could be the anomaly, but we have seen Robert in 5 years played have a strikeout percentage of 29% or higher. So like, the quality of his contact in that regard, or the quality of his plate appearances, are getting worse. But maybe, to be fair, he is hitting the ball a little bit harder, and he's really struggling against secondary pitches. And maybe that is a checkout. So if he were to be traded to a team like the Braves or something like that, maybe that would completely change. And maybe that does create him as a buying opportunity. I just wanted to put that question out there because, yeah, me and Wonky both, I rejected any moves of trying to get Robert. Wonky did as well. But maybe I'm very curious where he's going to sink into his value next year. I think it's going to be low. But Robert's getting to the point this year, I'm not even sure you need to hold in a 10-team league. Yeah. You just don't need to hold Robert right now. Like, if McCarthy were out there, you could move on from McCarthy. All these decisions, the Tyler Fitzgeralds, the McCarthys, they're better options. Hell, his teammate, I think someone in the chat may have said it, or not his teammate, but Jake McCarthy's teammate, Jock Peterson, in his platoons would be better at this point. So I'm just not sure Robert is a must hold. Regardless of the words that come out of his mouth, Jarren Duran was one of the best players yesterday. 4 for 4, had a go-ahead homer in the Red Sox win, and he just keeps hitting. And I do think there are people that attach the bad things to players and will not draft them for varying different degrees. That could happen with Duran. I was going to have this conversation of like, Duran's performance at this point is like a top 2 round. Oh, yeah. But I think it's really, we've been having a lot of conversation about like Corbin Carroll and Duran. That's an interesting one for next year. But I do think there'll be like maybe a few people that are like, nah, I don't know about, him as a person or whatever that's going to change it. I don't really think there's a lot to talk about there, but Duran picking right back up and going. You can tell me though, Reynaldo Lopez allowed 1 earned run, 5 innings, struck out 10 in a win over the Phillies yesterday, coming off of the IL. So Reynaldo Lopez, full go for the rest of the season coming off the injury. This would have been one I would have avoided, Joe. I probably wouldn't have started this against the Phillies.
No chance. There's no chance I would have started him. And yet he was brilliant like he's been most of the season. He has a chance to finish with a sub-2 ERA. And I don't think that's going to happen because a lot of the supporting numbers are not nearly as good. 4.27 xERA. I think the thing that really stands out is the 86% strand rate, though. Like, he has been pretty fortunate this season. There's also the fact that he's not really built up to do this. Like, he hasn't been a starting pitcher full time since 2019. I don't know. Like, he's at 110 innings now. Is he going to be able to just get to 140, 150 unscathed again? Because he's already gone through something. Is he just healthy now rest of season? I don't know. There are a lot of potential worries. I think we're past trade deadlines for most people, but if you don't have a trade deadline in your league and you can take what he did yesterday and try and get something off of that, I would be interested in at least attempting to.
I kind of think he's going to be okay. He's put up some starter innings early in his career. Sometimes these ILs are like a little vacation for players. Like, guess what? Follow me with how I'm going to say this because this isn't 100%. But like Jared Jones, phenomenal what happened. If you had Jared Jones, you were being positioned into a spot where it kind of looked like he's going to probably, like we were kind of theorizing with Skeens, probably going to lose some time at the back half of the year. Head-to-head, man, this is really going to struggle. Nobody wanted to lose Jared Jones. I had Jared Jones everywhere, and it's hurt over this period of time. But in head-to-head playoff formats, guess what? Jared Jones just destroyed in the minors. He, I think, is doing one more and then coming back. He should be a go. He should be a go. There shouldn't be any limitations with the amount of time he's missed. So sometimes with these guys, as much as it hurts to lose into that middle period, if you're in like a head-to-head format or need that boost at the end, I think Reynaldo might have been saved by this, and I think a guy like Jared Jones is going to be really good on the back end. Hey, I wanted to talk about this. We brought up a couple streamers in the last episode for this week. We were doing it on Monday. Check this out on the follow-up. The 2 guys we were talking about, DJ Hers, 3 runs, 2 were earned, 6 hits in 5 2/3. And I didn't write this down, but I think he struck out 7 in that start as well. And Cody Bradford allowed 3 earned runs over 7 innings. and struck out 8 in a loss to the Pirates. Both very good streamer options and didn't do you any harm. You didn't get like a win, especially from DJ Hers, but good strikeout numbers, and those paid off. Mr. Joe Rico, I spent one of my first days in complex ball this year. It was like probably reality, like my second game I went to. It was like, fourth or fifth game in, watching Johnny Cueto pitch in complex ball for the Texas Rangers to nobody, just to me, essentially, and playing against, 18-year-olds. He actually, this kid, oh man, I'm forgetting his name, with the Padres, Choi, 22-year-old, hit his first professional homer against Johnny Cueto. Johnny Cueto was sitting 85, and he ended up getting released. I think he's gone to maybe one or two different teams. I'm saying all this to say Johnny Cueto is starting today. He's making his season debut after putting up around a 3 ERA across 23 innings for AAA Salt Lake. Is there any world where you put Johnny Cueto out there?
No. We're gonna hear from Johnny Cueto again in the betting segment later on today. I would be taking this as an opportunity to stream against him, to bet against him. He had a great run, but he is 38 years old, and the last we saw of him at the big league level was really atrocious stuff. So I'm not overly confident, specifically tonight for that first start against Kansas City. Like, if you can stream some KC batters in those daily leagues, it might be worth it. Dude,
I looked at Bobby Witt Jr.'s. I wanted to look at his total base and hit run RBI. His total base is 1.5, was minus 170 today. And I don't think you don't see this often. His hit run RBI number was at 2.5, and it was still minus money. It was like minus 120 you have to get 3 of those. Cueto's going to get hit hard. He gets hit hard. Like, the idea, he's going to try to induce a lot of ground balls, but he still throws 85. I think he topped at 90, but he regularly sits 85, and he just puts it down the plate. And if they're on the pitch, boom, see ya. Hello, Bobby Witt Jr. for the day. We're also on returns. We got Justin Verlander returning today against the Red Sox. Yay or nay?
I lean yay in deeper leagues and sit in shallower leagues, personally. If it's like a 10-teamer, I'd probably sit him. 12 and beyond, I'm probably starting him. But you just have so many options in those shallow leagues. I don't know that I'd really want to chance it, but for the most part, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think I probably, like points leagues, I would. If I'm hugging ratios, I don't know if I would be doing it on Wednesday, but maybe I probably would risk it. I'm not expecting like a big, massive start, though. Also mentioned a little bit earlier on that Diamondbacks front, Corbin Carroll, 2 for 4, homer, 2 runs scored. Carroll now has 12 homers in 41 games since July 1st and almost 900 OPS. Corbin Carroll has been on a thing. And the closer situation has been very dicey. Paul Sewald came in the other day and was starting to, and the Diamondbacks were able to hold it down. Justin Martinez threw a scoreless 9th inning for a 3-1 victory over the Marlins on Tuesday, getting his 4th save of the year, and they went back to him. And I really think that's kind of a key point, that I thought that Paul Sewald was going to get the big next major opportunity. They went back to Justin Martinez because the previous 2 blowups for Martinez were in non-save situations. They were like in those 10th inning things, and the hit goes and boom, the game's over. But he got the save opportunity. So Justin Martinez, a player that you guys can go and look for. Let's answer some questions from everybody, whatever playoff help you guys need. So let's do it. Question. Let's see. Someone dropped Springer in my league. Worth claiming and dropping Holiday would leave Edman as my second base. Thoughts?
I think I'd probably rather have Holiday than Edman going forward at second base. I know it's been a little bit rough for Holiday, but Edman's going to be at the bottom of the order. I'm not sure if he's going to get every single day playing time. My gut is to pick up Springer and to drop Edman, I think. What about you?
100%. 1,000%. Yeah, that's I'm not interested. I'm not like super interested in Edman as a must keep player. He is going to play around the field. He's going to play that Chris Taylor role, but I would rather a Holiday in there. But I would pick up George Springer. Had a really good day yesterday, so that's definitely one to watch. RM Garcia, I'm guessing. 12-team head-to-head points. Which 2 rest of season? Langford, Cowser, Tyler O'Neill. So you got to eliminate one.
I'd probably take Langford and O'Neill. All pretty close, but I think
you're going to dump Cowser. You can dump the rookie of the year.
I don't see Sedane Rafaela in this conversation. No, I'm just kidding. I think he's actually going to be interesting because of the counting stats and everything going on. But with Cowser, he's very good. They're all very good. Like, ideally, I'd like to keep all three of them if possible. O'Neill, you could make the argument because of some of the injury problems we've seen from him, and he hasn't stayed on the field all as much as we'd really wanted to this year. But when he's been out there, he's 22 homers and 300 at bats. He's been so good when he's been out there. I think my personal play would be to drop Cowser, but I'd understand dropping O'Neill as well.
Yeah, I wanted to take a look here because my initial gut was Cowser and O'Neill, and I would dump Langford. And I think I would go back to that. Cowser just hit over 300 last month. He's around 250, I think, this month. Power's there. Langford is on a really bad 2-month tear. 216 in July, 196 in August. He hit 254 in the first half, hitting 204 in the second half. He's not even giving you counting stats right now. I think Langford is the dump. Cowser, I got to kind of hold on to in that offense. And yeah, I think you said it before, like when Tyler O'Neill's healthy, you want to own him. He's not the first got 2-month version or first month version of Tyler O'Neill right now, but I would rather him over Langford is not a must hold at all.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, maybe it's just some of that prospect thing still impacting my thoughts on him. He's been pretty disappointing. I just feel like could click at any second, and I wouldn't want to not have him there when he does, but it would be fair to drop him. It would be fair.
Barry said drafting higher next year, Neto or Volpe?
Should be Neto. I think it should be Neto, but I think Volpe's, playing in New York, the whole thing, he has more of a spotlight on him, and he might go higher in certain cases, but I think it should be Neto.
I think it will definitely be Neto for me. The process of like evaluating players and stuff is so funny, especially when you're not like locked into a player, and then you go and like I just went to Volpe's Savant page, and it is just
awful.
It's snow cones. It's a blue snow cone mess. It is awful. It is just bottom 8 percentile, bottom 28 percentile. Expected slug is bad. Expected batting average is bad. Yet he has still been able to steal a bunch of bases. The power is going to be a big differential. He just doesn't barrel. He's not getting the ball in the air. The ball, he's hitting it less hard. He has cut down his strikeout rate. It'll clearly be Neto here. Volpe in that offense will have people excited, but unless he goes on a last month tear, his hitting metrics look really bad. And I will bet you projections are not going to be fair to him next year. I say not fair. It's probably going to be realistic, but it's not going to look good. It's probably going to be something along the lines of a guy that hits 240, 10 homers, 20 stolen bases, and Neto is probably going to do that next year by August 1st. So
the only thing that would make me kind of maybe think towards Volpe is if we hear early in spring that they plan to have him leading off ahead of maybe Soto's still there, hopefully still there for their sake, and Judge. Like if we hear that he's locked into the leadoff spot, that might change my mind, but he could very easily lose that like he did this year. Like
I'm not done with Volpe long term. There's small parts of me that are like, this could be a guy that I would want to buy. The thing I don't like is the regressive stats. Like from a barreling standpoint, it was cut in half. The hard hit went down 8%. Like those are dramatic cuts. Like those, and he got the ball in the air almost. Essentially like that was cut in half too. Everything was cut in half. So he's got to bounce back, and you're betting on the talent that those things will bounce back, and then he'll just be better overall player. But there isn't like supportive data right now that's telling you. The other one, Fabby Davis said Stephen Kwan or Zach Neto.
We're talking rest of this year.
Let's do this year, and then let's do next year.
Rest of this season, it's probably Neto. Going into next year, I think I'd probably want Kwan. I think I'd probably want that security with the batting average. It's going to be a better lineup. They played a lot of games with Neto where he was in the order this year. We probably won't see that again, but if Ron Washington's still around next year, who knows what we're going to see with that lineup where Kwan is pretty solidified at the top of a really solid order in Cleveland. I don't really buy the power we've seen from him this year, but I think the overall output is a little bit better than Zach Neto for me.
I'm going to go Neto. Yeah. I do love Kwan Dada Meta, but I'm always like a little hesitant with the lower. He's improved the counting stats. I mean, 23 combined homers and stolen bases. Like that's 3 seasons of Luis Ariz, and he's doing it with a 300 plus batting average. Like Kwan is solid, and he's learning to be heavy pull ball. I mean, I'm looking here And he only has 6 total non-extra base hits to opposite field. Everything else is pull side. And that's because it's become a better hitting environment, whatever the jet streaming of them opening up that right field has happened for him. But like, I think Quan is going to, or Neto is going to hit higher in the lineup next year. There might be more RBI opportunities. He's running like crazy. The power is way up. I'm going to go with him for sure. Very good. Thank you guys for your questions. We just wanted to help you out as you guys are rolling into your playoffs or rolling through your playoffs. And then on Friday, remember, we'll still look at some streamers for the next week, and we'll kind of continue on with everything that we've been doing for all of your playoff prep here. Let's go over to, I've lost my place of like where the hell we were. 3 up and 3 down. George Springer, speaking of, yesterday, 2 for 5, 2 homers, 3 RBI. This one is more important though. Spencer Torkelson, 4 for 4. A 4 for 4 day, that's like 3 days of Torkelson. Are you going to buy back in on Torkelson? Not that there's been any big massive improvement in his game or anything that we can really like quantify at this point. But that 4 for 4 game was also paired with a 2-hit game that he had. So he has been back for 3 games and he's already got 6 hits in there, couple RBI, a couple walks as well. Maybe a different Torkelson. You going to buy back in?
Yeah, I will for sure, especially heading into next year when the overall price is going to be pretty cheap. When you look at, his total season this year, I don't think people are going to be pushing him up the board too much. If he's available right now, I would definitely pick him up. But just thinking about next year with the improvements of that Tigers offense, there's a lot of really exciting pieces. If I'm punting first base, I think that he's going to be a great option between like first base, maybe 15 and 20. I don't think he's going to get that much excitement, but he could he could hit 40 home runs next year. Wouldn't be surprising. And in that lineup could be 100 ribbies. I mean, he had 35 last year. There's a lot to like. The batting average is a concern a little bit, but I think you can work around that considering where he's probably going to be going in drafts.
Yeah, I think the most important thing too is just seeing him be able to bounce back. He has as many walks as strikeouts in the 3 games. He's making a lot of contact. It's a very good sign. It's a very, very good sign for a bounce back on him. Also, Mitch Keller went 7 innings, struck out 9, gave up just 3 hits on the opposite end, the 3 down. Carson Spears, 4 1/3, gave up 9 earned runs, 13 hits. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really remember the last time I saw a guy give up 5 homers in a game. Carson Spears, he did that just for you guys. Jose Quintana, 5 innings, 7 earned runs, 8 hits. He got hit up. And Marcus Semien, 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, still hitting under 250. Another one of those guys going into next year. He's not a shell of himself. He's still versions of himself, but it's just not a great version. And we've always said like, he's a second half bounce back type of player. It hasn't happened so far. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think we're going to carry that into next year, and maybe the downtick is starting to happen on Semien. Do you kind of buy into that, or do you think like, it's mirage next year? You're going to put him back into the 2nd, 3rd round?
No. He's not getting back up there for me personally. I think there is part of it that does come with so the way that we've used Semien the last few years as an elite player is because of the volume. Part of it is because of the volume for sure. He's playing 162 games every year, and he's been on good teams. The lineups around him have been great. We've seen 100 runs and 100 RBI pretty much every year going back to like 2019 throughout the COVID year. Every year it's like 190 at least. This is the first time in a while it's been on a bad offense, and we've seen that kind of come around, adding on to the fact that he's also going to be 34 years old. So, the whole thing with him is relying on 160 games, but the older he gets, the harder that is to do. I don't think I want anything to do with him next year unless we're seeing like a 5th, 6th, 7th round price. And I don't know if he's going to fall that far, but that's kind of where he'd need to be for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only been like an offensive like batting average fall off, but the stolen bases. 2 years ago, he hit 248. He stole 25 bases. This year, he's hitting 245. He's stolen 3. And he has 18 total homers. He's really struggled against sliders, by the way. Hit around almost 290 against them last year. He's down to 230, so breaking pitches have really killed him. He's barreling a little bit less, like hard hit is down. Everything is kind of down. He's still not striking out, so he can probably bounce back, but you're seeing so many less counting stats, which really makes it a concern just overall for his value if you're buying back in. Some of these older second basemen, that we were comparing Ketel Marte to earlier, Altuve, Semien kind of backtracking. Ozzie Albies has been hurt. Second base is kind of a mess. If you're honest with yourself, like there's a lot of great names, but it's just messy. There's just, you guys getting hurt. Cattell's re-hurt right now. So it's like all these guys are very messy right now. On the injury front, Luis Heel was removed from Tuesday's start against the Guardians with lower back tightness. And there's really no certainty on, like, is he going to make this next start? This is very worrisome because of his overall innings. This is kind of that opposite of, hey, Ronaldo and Jared Jones are coming back. But you got a guy like Luis Heel where they're always looking for opportunities. I don't want to say he's going to go on the IL or anything like that, but I would not be surprised because he's also been a little messy. Command has been messy in the second half and stuff like that. So I do not expect him to make this next start. I'm not sure about you, Joe.
No, I think they would be wise to kind of give him a week or two, like you said, with the innings concern. I think he's coming off of Tommy John. Like they don't need to push things. I know that it's always doom and gloom over there, but they're going to make the playoffs. Like they're going to easily make the playoffs. They don't need to worry about getting a couple of starts in for Heel. Like the smart thing would probably be to just say you're done for the regular season, or you're only going to do this Garrett Crochet thing of a couple innings here and there, because there's no need to risk them. There's not a lot of security. I don't think they have in their pitching going into the playoffs. Cole hasn't been what they would have expected. Stroman hasn't been good. Rodon, you never know what you're going to get out of Rodon on a given night. I think they would be wise to keep Heel as healthy as possible and as rested as possible.
All right. Other injuries, Victor Robles going to miss Wednesday's game with a hip injury that he suffered, crashed into the center field wall. So be mindful of that. Maybe that's just going to be a couple games. They didn't put him on the IL, but just watch for it. We talked about Victor Vodnik as a closing option. Well, he was unavailable Tuesday with shoulder soreness. That could carry over a little bit longer. So, if you had the options of I think MacArthur just got a save because I was going to say Lucic or Seg, or if you had Justin Martinez sitting out there, maybe you want to make that move if you're looking for some saves. Giants placed catcher Patrick Bailey on the 10-day IL. That's retroactive to the 19th. Rangers placed Tyler Mahle on the 15-day IL with right shoulder soreness. I think that'll probably end his season, but you never know. They might want to get one more in there. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto is facing hitters today in another simulated game, which lines us up pretty closely to whatever rehab assignment they're going to have him, however many starts that's going to end up looking like, but we could get him back here in the very near future. Friends, those are a lot of those updates. Let's start talking about some betting. Where are we betting today with Wednesday's best bets
of the day?
Look at Joey. Joey's always here with us in spirit with that face, that blue steel, snarky little look at you like, you make some bets, huh? I got some bets for you right here. It's actually pretty good. And mine is a bewildered what? There's no good strikeout things. There's no good strikeout props. I don't like it. All right, Joe, what do you got today? You've been heavy prop betting, and you've had some pretty good success here. So what are you betting today for this Wednesday slate?
We have been successful. Monday was a tough day of betting. So let's get back on the horse, and we're going to lean towards the Diamondbacks here. Welsh, I think you're having an effect on me here. The Diamondbacks have been great. They have been really good offensively, and they're facing Rodri Munoz today, who is, I think, one of the 5 or 7 worst pitchers probably in baseball. He's pushing a 6 ERA. He's facing the Diamondbacks, and you can get over 2.5 earned runs on him. I don't know why it would be that low. I think it's probably be 3.5 or something like him, but minus 140, that's the first bet. Taking a little bit easy on that one. The second one is the White Sox and San Francisco, total over 7 runs. And the reason I'm doing this is because, and it might seem a little crazy with Garrett Crochet and Logan Webb, earlier in the year, it probably would have been to take this, but the White Sox are going to need 5 or 6 innings out of their pen. They're very, very bad bullpen. And I don't think we're going to see them keep that number under. Logan Webb is the interesting one because Logan Webb could very easily throw 7 shutout innings here. It's more so on the White Sox side and what they're going to do once Crochet comes out of the game, and me having almost no faith there. So plus 100 to take the over 7. It's a fairly low number, so it's not the craziest number to hit. Plus 100 there. And then like we mentioned earlier with Johnny Cueto, the Bobby Witt numbers today were juiced to high heaven. So I took the alternative 3+ total bases at plus 130. Like we said, this could be a pretty easy home run. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get at least a couple hits in here one way or another. So plus money, Bobby Witt, bases 3 or over against Johnny Cueto. All of them at bet365.
I like that. Okay, that's a good one here. All right, I've got some diversity to all of my picks, just kind of moving around to different types. Wanted to get a Nerfy in here today. There's some okay options with some good pitchers are really juiced up. I'm going to be honest with you. This one is a little more juiced than I wanted it to be. I'd love for this to be around 130, 135 if I'm doing it. But Milwaukee, St. Louis, both not on the top end of first run scoring. You got Toby Harris and Kyle Gibson, who I've had some success with this year of not giving up first runs. So both of those two, it's around minus 140. If you can find it for better, I like it a lot better. That's probably the only nerf I'd really jump into, because like I said, most of the, the one tonight is kind of interesting, the Flaherty and Logan Gilbert, but you got a Dodgers offense. You got a really bad first inning Seattle offense, but then you got this great Dodgers offense. You could play it. It's a little bit riskier because one Logan Gilbert mistake and Mookie Betts takes him on the first one, and you're just like, all right, let's just move on. But this was the only one that I really wanted to attach to. Also, you mentioned the Diamondbacks. I do like the Diamondbacks today. I don't know if I don't hate the run line, which is like even money for 2 runs, but I wanted to play it just straight up. And I'm going to do a money line parlay. Give me the Arizona Diamondbacks. Are going up against Munoz. They got Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery has been dicey, but I will say Jordan Montgomery has a 3 ERA difference from the road to home. He's got a 7 ERA at Chase Field. He's run a 4 on the road, and they're going up against the Marlins, and they're going up against Munoz. So I like the win opportunity. They just need to close it. Please close it down. And I'm going to pair that with the Chicago Cubs, who are going up against the Detroit Tigers, who at this moment, I don't even see who the starting pitcher was that they're putting out there, but Jamison Tyone is who I'm backing here. So Cubs and Diamondbacks, money line, full game money line paired together. That's around essentially 1.5 on your money, plus 161 if you put those together. And then finally, I'm going to play a hit, run, and RBI. But I'm going to go to Cincinnati, and I'm going to go with Elly De La Cruz. Give me Elly on the 1.5 hit, run, RBI. Get that single, score that run. Elly's one of those guys. Corbin Carroll is as well. Corbin Carroll has one of the most ridiculous on-base run scoring rates. It's almost 50%. If he gets on first base, he's scoring a run. Elly's a similar player to that. So get me on base once with that. Give me a single. I also thought about the stolen base number, but it's like plus 120, and that you're not going to play a stolen base like that. So hit, run, RBI 1.5. It's right at like minus 110 for Elly De La Cruz. So again, I have got Milwaukee, St. Louis, Nerfy, Arizona, Chicago, full game money line, Elly hit, run, RBI at 1.5. Joe's got Rotary Munoz over 2.5 runs, the Chicago, San Francisco over total, and Bobby Witt total bases over 3. Big time. Those are our best bets of the days, my friend, brought to you by Bet365 and, of course, Betting Pros. All right, Joey, home run time. I do have a board here. Ladies and gentlemen, Joey P and Wonky at 37. That's our number today in a row. Both at 13 and 14th place. They are almost at the 40 marker. Our man of the hour is South African G with 48. That is a 3 home run lead over second place of B-Trot, who's at 45. Larry's in third with 43. JJ Tater at 42 with L-Scale at 42. We have 9 people with 40 homers. Razor Ramon in there. Shout out to him. I will say this as well, because this is maybe the most important thing we'll talk about today. Joe, Fred Dinger came in. Shout out to Fred Dinger over in the Cape Cod on vacation. Came in off vacation just to say that Welsh, is now at 32, and I am officially 1 away from the board, because the bottom of the board is still 33. I am 1 away. Have not been on that board, I don't think, at any point this season. It's August 21st, and I'm almost on the board. You're telling me there's a chance. So we're going to try to get on that board today, desperately trying to get back up. Joe, for you to get up on that board, what do you got for your home run call today?
I'm going to need to run pretty pure to get on this board, but
it's not going to really.
No, I would, if I hit every single one rest of season, a couple of double dongs in there, maybe, but no. We'll get in there next year for sure. But for tonight, it's going to be Shohei Ohtani. Logan Gilbert obviously is a scary one, but you're getting him out of Seattle, that massive park that we just literally can't hit. Nobody can hit in Seattle. You're getting him out of there, and Shohei Ohtani, it's been a couple days since he's hit a home run, and that's usually all it takes for this guy to get back on the board after he's missed a couple. There's a chance he goes 50-50. Just as a side note, Ohtani might have the first 50-50 season this year. If he keeps going the way he's been going, 9 homers, 15 steals over the last month, this could be pretty crazy stuff. But for tonight, I think he's taking Logan Gilbert deep.
Well, in honor, this is my, if you can see it on here, my Feed Baseball shirt. That's this right here. This right here. It's going to be Bobby Witt Jr. tonight. Feed Baseballs. Right here. Boop, boop. how does 40 baseballs equal 1? That's going to be Johnny Cueto to Bobby Witt. Give me Bobby Witt Jr. on the home run call today. I think it's going to be just 85 down the middle. Beep. I might call 2 for Bobby Witt Jr. today. So I like your bet as well. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be my home run boy. Get me on that board so we can get it by Friday. If we get it by September, that'll be great too, because I ain't going anywhere. All right, friends, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much. Apologies if we missed any questions. Thank you guys for hanging out with it. You got more? Follow us on Twitter at @IsItTheWelsh, at JoeRico99. You can also check out all the offerings we have over on our Discord, FantasyPros.com/chat on the Discord. Yep, you can join today, FantasyPros.com/chat for the free Discord. Ask all your questions. You got access to me. We do lots of other really cool stuff in there. We'd love to have you. Go and check it out. And make sure you're subscribed not only to the YouTube.com/FantasyProsMLB, but the podcast side. Don't go anywhere. We're going to actually have a lot of off-season offerings. I'm going to have a meeting today, actually, talking about some baseball stuff for the year, because I don't let it sleep. I do not let baseball sleep, and nor do you. Good luck in all your playoff runs and all of your runs to the playoffs. For Joe Rico, I'm Welsh. We'll talk to you next time right here on Leading Off. Peace.